You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file.
That doesn't sound too hard.
This is Making Tracks.
This is the way.
Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster.
I know these people. They are brutal. Does this look Jedi to you?
That's not how the Force works.
They'll never see it coming.
Count me in.
Lisa back.
You're listening to Making Tracks. This is episode 261, and joining me today is a man who put the fear into the Almighty himself with questions that can go airborne and pierce the darkness of lies like an Iron Maiden. Who is that? It's the Pogo Master himself, Mark Mulcaster. Mark, how you doing, man?
Scream for me, Making Tracks. Scream for me, Making Tracks. I'm all right. I'm a little bit tired.
It's the day after the night before, isn't it?
It's the day after the night before, and for those who don't follow us on social media, won't realise, but yeah, we were at Edfest, which is the very first, and hopefully not the last, Iron Maiden festival, which was there to celebrate the 50th year of Iron Maiden at Nebworth. You came down, it was hot. Yeah, it was a fantastic day, wasn't it?
It was an awesome day, and also, weirdly, and you pointed this out, and I never even considered this, the first time, we've known each other a long time, the first time we've done something that's nothing to do with Star Wars. It was completely unrelated. It was all about Maiden.
Which was quite nice, wasn't it? You think about all the events that we go to throughout the year, Matt, and how many different times that we do see each other, Matt. But yeah, it's always obviously at a Star Wars event, so it was quite nice to have a change and also cross the streams, as it were. Like you meet like my brother and my best friend Sam. Quite fun.
It was awesome. Last week it was Fantha Fury. This week it's Edfest. God knows what's coming up next, but it was awesome. I'm sunburnt to a crisp. I'm out on my feet, but it was worth it. We've got loads to talk about today.
We've
got loads to talk about. Should we just dive into it?
Plunging.
Okay, I'm plunging in. 2 Star Wars projects nominated for Emmy Awards. First up, Maul Shadow Lord was nominated for Outstanding Sound Editing, while Visions, Star Wars Visions Season 3, was nominated for Outstanding Animated Programme. Fantastic news. Congratulations to both projects, both fantastically excellent and wonderful. My question to you, when you are looking at news like this, Star Wars fans, so we're Team Star Wars, and so anything that good happens to Star Wars, it's like being into your favourite football team. England in the semi-finals of the World Cup. Well done, England. And so anything like that, you get a little adrenaline rush because it's your team's doing really great. How does it make you feel when you see Star Wars projects like these two get nominated for Emmys? They're in the mix now with all these other shows. We had it last year with Andor. It's just good to see. It's good for Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah, you're kind of proud a little bit, aren't you? You're chuffed, to use a British term. You're chuffed for the cast and crew and everybody who worked on it, because they're the ones who put in the blood, sweat, tears and late nights and everything else to get it across the line. But for us, it's nice because, especially something that you watch, I think also there's this slight, I wouldn't say vindication, but confirmation that what you feel about the show, as in you think it's a really good show, it's high quality, is obviously being reflected in the industry at large, and the fact that it's being nominated shows that. But I wonder if this is why they released Maul so close to Mando and Grogu, was just to maybe get in on the nomination window, because all these awards now have a nomination window, and normally part of the criteria is that it has to have aired by a certain date. So I wonder. I mean, I've not even looked into Emmys, but that's just my supposition. Like I said, it's always felt to me quite weird to have 2 standout Star Wars events so close together like that.
When a show like Maul comes out, for example, how many episodes was there? Was it 10? So, but you had 2 a week for 5 weeks, and it's come and gone too quickly. So for me, I'd like 1 episode. I know they're only 23, 24 minutes. I'd like 1 episode each week for 10 weeks. We don't have a Star Wars show and we don't have Insider. And so there's all these other avenues now where you could kind of talk about the show, or get on this week's guest star, or bring on David Collins to talk about the sound, or talk to Athena Patillo about the work that she does. That opportunity right now, where's the platform to do things like that? And that's the kind of stuff that fans do find interesting. Yes, streaming's great for immediacy. You can be sitting on a train platform and think, I'm going to watch episode 3 of season 2 of Star Wars Rebels if I want to, and put your headphones on and watch it, if you want to do that. But there's no extras. The DV extras day is gone. Not that episode 2 of season 3 or whatever of Rebels would have many extras, but you know what I'm getting at. That has gone. So it gets not left to, but, it means that sites like Fantha and shows like Making Tracks will go into the nitty-gritty. So we kind of benefit in that way. But I just think now that the shows come out so close together, and as a consequence, weirdly, because the Star Wars world moves so fast, it's in the rearview mirror. So when you see a nomination like this for Maul, especially Maul, because Visions was last year, so especially Maul, it's a confirmation and an affirmation of the quality of work that we see, and hopefully don't take for granted, but we expect good quality Star Wars. It's nice that the wider world is seeing that as well.
We talk about value for money. Where is value for money in the franchise at large? Obviously, the price of Black Series figures and even the 3 3/4 vintage collection figures have increased. There's an inherent cost with how much a Disney Plus subscription actually costs each year or each month, depending on your payment plan. Many moons ago, randomly, because again, it might have been a Black Friday deal. It probably was, Naomi. I brought the Star Wars trilogy on Amazon Prime, so I can watch it via Amazon Video. So it comes with all the extras from like the DVDs and stuff like that.
Excellent.
But you can just watch. My argument is that, yes, whilst physical media might not have the extras on it these days, to say that there isn't a place and there isn't a platform for it, I think is wrong. Because, we both know. And I think every time something does drop from Star Wars, I always check that extras tab on Disney Plus just to see if there's anything in there. And there isn't normally. So there could be. That would almost be perceived as like, extra value to a show, because that would give you that kind of content that we wouldn't normally get. Just for those who are keeping score, season 3, episode 2 of Star Wars Rebels is Steps into the Shadow, part 2.
That's why people listen to Making Tracks. I just wonder, though, if Amazon have access to... Amazon are paying to show it, aren't they? They're buying that in as content to put out there, aren't they?
Yeah, well, absolutely. It would be the same as if I brought Star Wars, I guess, from Apple. It's sitting on a server somewhere, which obviously has a slight inherent cost. It's for features from maybe the Blu-rays, and it might even just be an HD version, but which is totally fine to watch it on a phone. The only time I would be to remember that is just before I'm about to fly or something with a band, then that's probably what I download and watch on the flight.
But what I'm saying is Amazon see the value in that content, don't they?
Yeah.
Because they've purchased it from Disney, presumably, and Lucas, to move it onto their customer base.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas it's weird that Disney Plus, with their subscriber base, don't seem to see the value in the extras. The catalogue of content that Lucasfilm have got behind the scenes stuff. And we all, as fans, talk about back in the day, classic creatures, make Star Wars the Jedi, Director and the Jedi, and all that sort of stuff. That's the kind of content that would really hook in a lot of fans that's not available in the one place it should be available.
100%. Yeah. Audio commentaries, that kind of stuff, anything like that. The way that these packages are put together, when I say packages, I'm talking about like IMFs and DCPs and that. In this case, it's IMF, I would imagine. You can have multiple streams in there. Let's say you've got like a director's version of A New Hope, and then you've got your standard audio mix version. Those aren't like two completely separate files. That's just like additional audio files that allows the viewer to then switch between the two. So it's not a huge amount of space taken up. And even a lot of those behind the scenes stuff will be HD at best, and by the time it's been compressed, won't be huge in the grand scheme of things sitting on the server. You do it for your premium franchises or IPs, so you do it for MCU and you do it for Star Wars, and so it's not like it has to be on everything. But I think when we know for a fact that there's hundreds upon hours of extras on these discs, be it Blu-rays or DVDs, those should come as part of the package. Those should be available to the subscriber.
Hello, this is Sam Whitwer, and you are listening to Fantha Tracks.
It's the new big boss at Disney, Josh D'Amaro, and he sits down with another Josh Gad, to do some Q&As. It's great fun. It's well worth watching. In the conversation where Josh Gad is asking Josh D'Amaro about various things, he does say and ask the question, what are you watching right now? And basically, Josh D'Amaro says, I've been binging Star Wars, Maul, Shadow Lord, and he gives it a proper shout out. Josh Gad kind of moves past it fairly quickly. But the point is that Josh D'Amaro has put it out there that he is not only a fan of Maul, that he's binge-watching Maul. Now, we've just talked about Maul. It's got its Emmy nomination. Congratulations to the team. It's fantastic news. But for the boss of Disney to give Maul a shout-out, and I'm sure all the answers for this Q&A were kind of considered before it was done. It looks very off the cuff. Probably isn't. For the boss of Disney to give a show like Maul Shadow Lord a very, very audible shout-out was, I think, quite the thing and also that he's watched it and clearly enjoyed it. Now, Damara's come for the parks, and Galaxy's Edge must have been right at the top of the list of things that he not only had an involvement in, but gets a kick out of. What do you think this does for Star Wars, more specifically, because that's the thing that he's talking about, but for Star Wars in general, when the boss of all of Disney is giving a show like Maul Shadow Lord, which is pretty much the latest show right now, giving it a shout out?
I mean, it's great, isn't it? Yeah, it's. I mean, it could just literally just be he's taken on this role, and he's just had to pick some content that the most recent from all the franchises, just so he can get across and make sure he's aware. But I don't think so. I don't necessarily think it was kind of that contrived. You know, it's good and positive, and that I suppose also depends upon when it was released, whether or not he would have been able to have seen Mando and Grogu before that, and whether or not that was something. But that seems like it's more of a Disney streaming focused answer rather than like go and see Mando and Grogu at the cinema and make sure you see it in IMAX. Not necessarily that. It's actually kind of trying to draw eyes possibly again onto something that maybe not many people have seen, or whether or not they just want to increase viewership. He could have picked anything. He could have picked whatever the most recent.
He could have picked Bluey, couldn't he?
He could have picked Bluey.
You know.
Yeah, he totally could have.
But in the sort of the ecosystem of Disney, I mean, this is stupid because we've been saying this since we started the podcast. When we started the podcast, which is 7 years ago, near as damn it, the Disney Star Wars purchase was years in the rearview mirror then, and now it's over a decade in the rearview mirror, and we still, even us as sort of waggle the air quotes commentators on Star Wars, still talk about it and think of it as a fairly recent and fairly fresh thing, which it isn't. But in the landscape of Disney, which, as you just said, MCU and all the other things that's involved, they've got Pixar's about to blow through $1 billion again with the latest Toy Story movie, which is great news. Having Star Wars mentioned, we're pushing the 50th now. Once again, it's going to be everywhere. But to have somebody like Josh D'Amaro, the top dog at Disney, to be mentioning Star Wars prominently, it felt to me like the way he shouted it out was very organic. They probably did say, what are you going to say? I'm probably going to say Maul Shadow Lord. I've watched that and I really enjoyed it. Okay, say Maul Shadow Lord. You know, but it felt organic. It felt train of thought. You know what I'm getting at? It's important that these things happen because I think Star Wars could be taken for granted by Disney in a way.
Possibly. And I guess it kind of comes down to how the property is performing, because you think a property that's performing better or stronger than its siblings may mean that it gets mentioned above others. So you don't necessarily think about something that's underperforming. You would say that if there's something that's clearly performing really well. So I think that says that. And as you mentioned, it's nods to the Emmys and stuff like that. So I think that they're very confident with Star Wars and the property. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because just to see what he is going to bring to Disney. Disney need to not only push Lucasfilm, but they also need to support Lucasfilm in their endeavors. It's finding that balance. And then it's finding the opportunities when you get something like Maul Shadow Lord. It's like, okay, well, when's season 2 coming out? Oh, it's going to be 18 months, 2 years. Any chance we can move it forward? Or, is there any opportunities to fold this into a park? Could we put planets on like Smuggler's Run or something like that? Because actually, I think Josh D'Amaro, he was the one who introduced the branching storylines in the Falcon ride. It's just stuff like that, isn't it? The synergy of the franchise can be expanded and integrated into what's there. And so hopefully people like Josh will be able to do that and keep that kind of ticking over.
The thought that Shadow Lord exists as its own thing, it's part of the Star Wars universe, and then somebody like Josh D'Amaro might see that and see elements in that show, or planets in that show, or characters in that show, and think, we could put that in Smuggler's Run, or we could add that to Star Tours, or we could whatever. That linked up synergistic thought process is probably way more thought through, if that's a terrible way of putting it, but you know what I mean? There's probably more to it than just us thinking, oh, they've seen that and then they'll cherry pick that. It's probably way more detailed. I'm sure it is. It's stuff that is way above our kind of pay grade as viewers. You look at something like, Lucasfilm and Star Wars. When Lucasfilm did Star Wars, the only criticism it ever got was that each film wasn't bigger than the film before. So they would look at Attack of the Clones that did only $630 million worldwide in 2002 and completely forget the fact that it probably only cost $115, $120 million to make, which is half what a film would cost now, but with inflation, yada, yada. But my point being is that a disaster, not that they ever had one, but a disaster for Lucasfilm and a disasterful Lucasfilm was part of Disney are two different things. Disney, as a behemoth, can absorb the hit on a film like Solo and can absorb the hit on a film like Mando and Grogu, which hasn't lit the box office on fire at all, but has probably done very well with merch and various other associated things. You've just changed up Smuggler's Run, as you've just alluded to, with a Mando and Grogu storyline. Yeah. And so that's going to get people who are like, oh, they've changed Mando and Grogu. Like, they've just changed Soaring over California at Epcot. Let's go and do Soaring again because it's not the same as it was before. It's much more of a connected ecosystem than any other franchise, apart from Potter, that's got stuff in parks to a similar degree. But in terms of Star Wars, every episode is an opportunity to change something in the parks or change something in the books and comics or whatever. It's a lot to consider.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video, and social media feeds, bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
October 6th, we'll see the release of Galactic Racer. It's coming to the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, and PC. It looks kind of awesome, and some gaming outlets have had a look, by the sounds of it, at about the first 30 minutes, and they're very, so far, complimentary. Kind of funny, one of the outlets have said Star Wars Galactic Racer is awesome, and they were joined by Blue Thunder Gaming, who said, I played Star Wars Galactic Racer, and it's honestly amazing. It seems to me that they're comparing it to Burnout 3. So far, from what we've seen, what are you kind of expecting? What experience are you anticipating on the 6th of October? Because it's got a hot rod feel. It feels like when you've got the headset on and the sound's cranked up and you're zoned in on the screen, you're going to be right at ground level, about to go. It feels very, obviously, kinetic and pacey and speedy. But some of those clips show some really interesting sort of dynamic cutscene style stuff happening every time you bump somebody off the road. It does feel like the kind of game where you'd want to get a crowd together. We'll be this team, you be that team. Let's meet on Boonta Eve and just have a go for it. It's got a kind of vibe.
It has, yeah. And I think it's going to be interesting just to see how much you can kind of mod the stuff, if it's micro transactions, which it will be because it's, it's modern game and stuff like that. But I mean, it's fun. It looks as good, if not more in the universe than, say, Outlaws did, really. It just looks like when you go to these different races and stuff like that, they've really kind of thought about who's there and, different, and also, again, exploring the whole breadth of the galaxy when it comes to, aliens and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. So, obviously, changing vehicle skins and all that kind of stuff and modding your engines and everything else and performance and boosts and stuff like that. That's what you'd expect. So I don't tend to do a lot of gaming outside of Star Wars these days. So for me, that makes this even more exciting because, the last game like this I played was Episode 1 Racer. And, admittedly, that wasn't that long ago because I can still play it on the PS5. So being able to just do this now with an updated game and, playing different planets that we haven't raced around before in game and stuff, I think it's cool. I think it's going to be really fun. And if nothing else, that's what I'm here for this. This is a kind of game, but I don't think you necessarily need to get all kind of bogged down with it not being open world or maybe it bends the canon a little bit. It's just have fun with it. And hopefully it'll be accessible to non-Star Wars fans as well, which again is always a great gateway into the franchise.
I think when outlets like these and others get the chance to see things early, there's a great value in that, in the sense that, especially when the reaction's good, like this reaction has been good of the things that we've seen that we put on the site, and there's doubtless other ones out there. So it'll be interesting in the fairness of balance to see if there's any negative comments out there.
Yeah.
So we will certainly scout around for that. But from what we've seen, for gaming outlets to be positive about a Star Wars game and not talking about it necessarily just because it's a Star Wars game, we're going to look at it from a different filter because it's Star Wars. We'll be looking at, oh my God, Sebulba's in it. I don't know if Lewis McLeod is voicing Sebulba. I should know that. I'm not sure. I hope he is. He's at Rebel ScumCon, so maybe I'll ask him. But, there's things like that that are going to light people up because Sebulba's in it. And then I'm certain there's going to be other characters in there that we might recognise, or vehicles or locations and stuff like that. So that's for us because it is a Star Wars game. But to your point, it's a great point you make, that you'd like to think, like anything Star Wars, like Star Wars at the Emmys, it breaks out of the bounds of it being a Star Wars thing and expands into other areas to be, hey, this is just a great racing game.
And that is exactly it, isn't it? Because I think that is basically what you need these days with Star Wars, is that it can't just resonate with the fans, because it always will. Like me and you, we're not complete corporate shills, but ultimately we're Star Wars fans, and we're Star Wars fans with a very positive outlook. So, we're excited about this game, regardless of anything else, surrounding it. And therefore, I know for a fact it's on my wish list to buy. And I will probably pre-order it before I pre-order GTA 6. Partly because it's Star Wars, and I want it, and I also want a physical copy. So that's the important thing. And when you talk about that, about Star Wars being a success, and I'm going to completely go on a massive tangent because we missed it earlier on. This week we have the release of a Ninth Jedi trailer, and I sat there watching it, kind of going, well, I really liked the Ninth Jedi because of Star Wars Visions, and it was really cool. And there was something about it that I was like, this is something that they can definitely develop. I was rewatching the trailer to remind myself before we might have talked about it on this record. And I was actually thinking, based on my experience of what I see at conventions, whereby we've seen this massive dramatic shift away from cosplaying of Star Wars and other pop culture films, a lot more popularity in anime. Actually, if this does really well and this gets picked up by the anime fans in general, this could actually be the future of Star Wars. Two things, like both the anime and also gaming. We talked about it, haven't we? We talked about how do you get new fans into it. And actually, if people aren't going to the cinema, you have to look at these other avenues. Gaming is one, that's already out there. But anime, again, is something that they haven't really pushed as much as they probably can do until now. And so I'm very excited to see where that goes as well.
They've done Star Wars manga since the Dark Horse days. They still do stuff now with Viz. So there's that side, the manga side, the printed side. But in terms of anime, yeah, Visions is where it's at in that sense. And clearly, with 3 seasons in, so clearly it's been a success. And they've obviously identified, Ronin from season 1 got expanded on with the novel and the comics and bits and bobs there, and the follow-up in season 3. And as you say, Ninth Jedi had a follow-up in season 3, and now they're doing the series on its own. I've seen the first episode, and I really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. And we'll do a reaction chat about it. And it really does take the characters, as you say, and just expand and just set the story a little bit differently in such a clever way that it's Star Wars. There's no doubt it's Star Wars. And there's enough in there in terms of characters, tech, locations that they could definitely port the locations into the galaxy map and make them places you could tell canon Star Wars stories. I don't see any reason why they couldn't do that. And certainly with vehicles, again, the same sort of logic as well. So there's enough architecture in there that they can bring it into the rest of the Star Wars galaxy and keep it Visions. I think that's just a smart bit of business if they ever wanted to go down that route. Me, as a non-cosplay person, just going to events, you see it on a different angle because of what you do. But me, just as a punter, seeing that, yeah, you're right. The last 5-6 years, the shift has been quite dramatic in the sense that now when you had, let's say, I pick you, at a Rebel Legion presence at a show, you were official, but you were one of numerous Star Wars presences, if that's the right way of putting it. And yet now you're quite uniquely, and with your fellow costumers in other organisations, but you're uniquely the Star Wars presence now. Yeah. Whereas, as you say, you see a lot of anime stuff where you look and go, I don't know what that's from, but I kind of like it because it's
looks cool.
Exactly. Yeah. You can see the craft. And so for Lucasfilm to identify anime as something like, let's target that, not cynically, but, let's go down that route. Let's tell Star Wars stories in that medium because it is a unique way of telling stories. That's actually quite good business. I like that. And like I say, it's different enough, but still Star Wars enough to work and feel like its own thing.
The thing is, and don't give it away if it's in the episode or if it's mentioned at all. Let's keep it completely spoiler free. But like the feeling I kind of got when I watched those 2 standalone episodes of Ninth Jedi was like, I don't think there was anything that if you were to watch that, barring the iconography, but it didn't feel like you could go, oh yeah, this is Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia and all that. Yeah. And so it's kind of like almost a way of either one creating your multiverse, as it were, to use a Marvel thing, or even some kind of like almost like way of kind of rebooting it. So it's like, okay, we've got all this stuff, but actually in this Ninth Jedi world or galaxy, because I'm just looking at the trailer and it looks like there's kind of like a Hosnian Prime kind of like catalyst kind of event where like super weapon gets fired and wipes out loads of planets and stuff. Is this where we kind of now have our next big 3 are going to be in anime? So that will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it gets picked up again by the non-Star Wars fans and the wider anime community in general, because actually I don't know that's been received, like any of the Star Wars Vision stuff has been received. There's been a couple of people have done anime-inspired costumes. One's come from, I think it's the High Republic manga book with the girl, and it looks really cool. It hasn't yet, it's not been finished yet, but so that is kind of starting to permeate even into what we do. So it's going to be very exciting to see where the Ninth Jedi goes, both as a story, but also almost as a sub-Star Wars franchise in its own right.
Hi, this is Andy Seacombe, otherwise known as Watto, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
Thank the Maker Rogue One is heading to St Swithin School in Winchester on the 17th of October. That's a Saturday later this year. It's going to take place in the 600-seater Harvey Hall. And the great news is, first, we've got 5 guests, which we'll talk about in a moment. Ooh. But secondly, tickets are now on sale. So head to Fantha Tracks. You will find a link to send you to the ticketing page so you can get your tickets right now. But the guests have been announced. First, we have Jamie Wilkinson, who is the prop master on Rogue One. Next, we have Rut Villamagna, who was the hand props and weapons painter. We also have TJ Falls from ILM, who's the visual effects producer. Dominic Sicking from Rogue One's graphic design team. And the latest addition to the lineup is Ajahn Chu, who was the production supervisor on Rogue One. And he's now the vice president of physical production at Lucasfilm. So he's a bit of a mover and shaker. What do you make of this, Mark? This is a really fantastic lineup building. We're obviously involved because we are stage hosting, as we did at Anmore and Thank the Maker Force Awakens. Yep. So both very excited and privileged to be a part of it. But as it's going so far, tickets on sale, we've got a location, we've got a date, and we've got 5 guests announced. It's looking pretty good, isn't it?
It's looking cool, and it's great because we are in the 10th anniversary of Rogue One. We can celebrate that at Thank the Maker, but also it's nice because it's also, celebrating Andor. And, I think really the profound impact that those 2 seasons have had on people's perception of Star Wars and what Star Wars can be. It's a little bit closer to home for both of me and you, so we don't have to drive quite as far to Fordham Bridge. As much as I love Fordham Bridge and it's lovely, Winchester is probably a good half hour plus closer to London and stuff. And it looks like it's a fantastic venue, lots more seats. One of the nice things about Thank the Maker previously was it was in the Fordham Bridge Town Hall, but it is very small. So obviously it's very, very exceedingly intimate. However, that kind of means that you are limited as to what you can do around the panels and stuff. So this is going to be cool. Hopefully we're going to get Dave Tree, who is the organizer and obviously previous Making Tracks co-host, on the show so he can talk more about it in the very near future. But yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, because for me anyway, somebody who works in the industry, as you like to remind me,
you're a professional, Mark. You're an industry professional. I am a
professional, yeah. It's really nice that we can get some names that maybe people might be aware of or may not necessarily know at all. And even like what the job entails. Like, what is a production supervisor and what kind of input did Adam have onto, Rogue One and all these kind of other interesting stories that by and large, he might not even think, if that could just be like an ordinary day for him. But for us and for the audience, if this could be like really interesting behind the scenes stories and anecdotes that won't ever be recorded anywhere else. So I think that is a really cool and exciting opportunity for anybody who comes along. So hopefully people can get their tickets and join both me and you down in Winchester.
Absolutely. There's more guests to be announced. It's building up very, very nicely. Important point, free car parking. Now, that sounds trivial. But the Fordham Bridge, beautiful Fordham Bridge, I'm sure we'll do more events there over time. It was trickier to find car parking spaces. Here, free parking included with the ticket. Whee! So that is one thing that's taken care of. Yes, it's going to be a fantastic day, as Thank the Maker and more both were. So very much looking forward to it. Stay tuned for Fantha Tracks. There's more guests being announced, and it will come to us ASAP. And as you just said, yes, we'll get Dave on the show, and we'll talk about how things have come so far, what he makes of Anmore and of Thank the Maker Force Awakens as well, which are in the rearview mirror. And now we're looking straight ahead for Rogue One. So stay tuned for Fantha Tracks, more news from that show. But yes, very, very excited.
I don't know about you, mate, but I need to lie down. Oh, yeah. And it's got nothing to do with Star Wars. It's just got to do with the fact that I just can't do late nights these days.
It's been a wonderful, pleasurable struggle, this episode. But here we are.
It normally is with me. We're going to wrap this one up, but that's not to say that we won't be back, and hopefully with greater vigour and energy. Pop a blue pill or two, maybe, who knows. However, it's always nice to hear from you guys, so we would always love to read your thoughts, maybe your opinions, questions. If you've got any questions, Mark's normally good at kind of reaching out and asking people, hey, do you want to send in a question? So, hey, send in a question. And you can send in a question. It can be via WhatsApp. It could be via Instagram, voice messages, carrier pigeon, maybe not an albatross. And to find out how, Mr. Newbold can tell you how you can get in touch.
Yes, I can. I don't do Snapchat, I don't do Grindr, but I do questions to Making Tracks. And here's how you can get in touch.
Email radio@fanthatracks.com. Head to links.fanthatracks.com for links to our social media feeds, Fantha Tracks TV and Fantha Tracks Radio. Thanks to James Semple for the Fantha Tracks intro, Blues Harvest for our Making Tracks opening music, and Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers. New episodes drop Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 o'clock UK time. Our weekly news show, Good Morning Tatooine, goes live Sundays at 9 o'clock UK time on Facebook and YouTube. And remember, Fantha Tracks is absolutely free, so it costs nothing to stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news.
And that's me done with this episode, Mark.
Are you sure you don't do Grindr? Anyhow, brilliant, mate. Lovely to see you as always. We'll be back very, very soon. Until next time, however, stay safe, take care, buy those Frankfurt Maker tickets, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's Making Tracks.